podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. I have a short intro for you, so I'm going to let this video take over.
Please help me welcome our 2022 B.A.S.S Fishing State Champions.
How about you?
I'm awesome. I'm excited for this because you know what? I know nothing about you guys. So I'm super excited. And I got some questions, obviously, but I got some other questions too that I want to ask while we're talking, just so because I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure I'm all good. Cool. All right, let's get this started. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Kraken Lair podcast. I have two really cool and unique guests, Logan, Kinsella, and Brett. I want to say, I think I'm going to, before I even ask you how to pronounce your last name, I'm going to just go with Mouw.
Mouw.
Dang, wow. You know, I was going to say Mouw.
It's been worse. It's been Mouw. I've heard some pretty bad pronunciation.
Okay, so Brett, Mouw.
Yeah, down at Carlisle it was Moan. And
you know what's so funny, because I did a bunch of posts for, you know, the sectional winners and all this, and then obviously you guys won state, and I put in a thing and it said Moan. I'm like, and then I remember when you guys first registered for an event, I'm like, wait a minute, did I misspell their name? I'm like, oh, and then I look back on the IHSA records and they misspelled your name.
Yeah,
that's
It might have been bad handwriting on our report, but
it could have been. Or you know, they can kind of update their technology or whatever, and you know, you could just type something in, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I got my 8 questions for these kids. I want to get to know them on a deeper level, just because I feel like I don't really know them. I pride myself, and I know most of the anglers, and I know most of the kids that are on here, and you guys are a unique mystery that we're going to unravel today. And I think people are going to know who Logan and Brett are after today. Probably they already know who you are, but they're going to know you even more after today for sure. So I got my 4 questions. Normally we go in alpha order, but since these two are such a unique combo, they're together at the same house using the same computer, we're going to go from left to right. On my screen we go Logan and Brett. So I got a resume here that I've written down, and I think I know a lot of these answers because I try to do as much research as I could to get some information on you. So I have, what year are you guys?
Well, I'm a junior
and I'm a senior.
Okay, so we got senior Brett and Logan is a junior. Now, correct. Both you guys play football?
Yes.
Right? Were you on the 21-22 team?
Yes. Yeah.
Both of you?
Yeah.
So you guys are 2-time state champs in one single year?
Correct, yeah.
Football and then spring fishing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the one thing I looked up, and I'm like, I could have sworn JCA won state 4A that year. So I looked it up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask if these guys were on that state championship team, which they are. So you guys won state twice in a single year. So congratulations to that. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. That was a huge deal. That was really cool.
Yeah. I mean and to be at a private school, it's like a tighter knit community.
Yeah.
Almost everybody knows everybody. So when
Yeah.
you guys celebrate, I bet it's probably above and beyond and super exciting.
Like the whole school gets together in the gym, and then we like walk out the trophy in the middle of the gym, and they're all clapping and cheering. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a sublime feeling almost.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really a great moment to soak in the
Yeah.
moment.
oh, I could only imagine. I mean, I played sports my entire life, and to think of winning a state championship is, I mean, that's what everybody kind of wants, right? It's
Right.
and to think you guys got it twice in a year. I mean, super jealous, but awesome at the same time. There goes that awesome word again. I love it. That's 2 for me.
Yeah, it's definitely something you don't want to take for granted,
Yeah.
and also learn from it and stay humble about it. It's not, yeah, you celebrate in the moment, but in the meantime right now, it's like, how can I build off that? How can I get better from that? And that's what I feel like me and Logan like really do good. Is yes, we celebrate in the moment, we move on, and it's time for the next, and we learn from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a cool mindset to have for you two, to kind of think of it like that and just embrace it and kind of soak it in, and also, not like you said, don't take it for granted, which is, I think it's such a cool thing and such a great experience. I mean, you only go to high school for 4 years, and to play the sports that you do, essentially you have whatever seasons you have, and that's the amount of times you get to, to possibly win that state title, which is such a unique experience. All right, so let's get back to fishing. So I have in the IHSA 2022 sectionals at Des Plaines, your team took 3rd place, correct?
Right.
All right, so that got you into Lake Carlisle and to the IHSA State Championship, and you guys won the state championship. So I have a question I want to know, just because I'm super curious on how the whole mindset was on that whole weekend, because I know everybody was mixed emotions and everybody was on the same playing field. That's what people need to understand. Everybody had the same weather delay, the same expectations, the same outcome, everything. So there was nothing that you did wrong or you did right. That's just the way it was. So we'll get down to that in the description for the question. And then for the ICAST series, your first event that you guys signed up for was the CalSag. Right. And you guys took 2nd place. And I still remember to this day, first of all, the 4 kids that signed up, you're all enormous human beings. I remember you guys coming up to the weigh, and I'm like, what the heck? I mean, I'm not big, so like anybody that's bigger than me is bigger than me. So I just remember, like, you guys are definitely football players. And Brett, you had like some type of brace on.
Yeah, that Friday prior to the tournament, we played a football game, and my rotator cuff. Yeah.
And that was your left shoulder, right?
That was my left shoulder, yeah.
Okay, so then every time you were jacking fish, it was the right side then, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so I would go like this, and sometimes it would give out, and you just had, it was hard to keep pressure on the fish. The spinning rod, I was using a jerk bait that tournament. So I would cast with my right, which I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And then I would use all my wrist, which you do for jerk bait anyways, but it was just all on the wrist. So I was able to manage.
That's good.
So, yeah,
I mean, that's unbelievable. That's so cool. So you guys took 2nd place in that tournament out of 48 boats. That was your first ICAST event. I was super happy to see you guys kind of participate in our events. Obviously I'm super biased with the ICAST series just because, I run it and I think it's such a great series. It's
I agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, we really look forward to the ICAST series. I think it's like well put together. Like, it's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. So hey, shout out ICAST, sign up. Actually, there's really not many spaces left because I think the only 2 events that we have left over is Kincaid and the Fox chain. Everything else is full, which is unbelievable. I can't
Right.
fathom it. So I mean, thank you. I appreciate those kind words. I try to do the best I can to give the experience for what I think kids would enjoy and what kids want and type of things like that. So I'm not too far off from high school. It's only been 20 years, but so you took
not too
second.
far. We'll say that. We'll put that out there. It wasn't too far.
Yeah, not too. Oh my God. Different subject. And then you guys sign up for the St. Chris tournament. And that was a 60 boat field. You travel central Illinois for that. You took 12th. And that's a pretty respectable place for the type of anglers that had been fishing ICAST. And I think people were starting to, they're just so used to finishing in a certain place, you know, those top teams, right? And then at the Fox Chain, you guys just decided to say, you know what? We're just going to take first. We're just going to win this tournament. And out of 62 boats, you win the tournament. And that was a tough event too. From a lot, I remember the weigh-ins. There was a lot of schools that had 1, 2 blanks. I mean, it was a tough event. And you guys did really well. And I remember, I don't know if it was Brett or Logan or maybe your coach. And I remember after the weigh-ins, I go up to you guys and I'm like, and I told you, I am so glad that you guys are doing so well, because it puts those, if we had doubters of who you guys were, to rest. Yeah. And I have a question. Again, I always get into the questions before I even get to the questions. I got a question for you to kind of go over that. Because I think that right there, those 3 tournaments, and those are the only 3 tournaments you fished, which currently you guys are tied for 3rd place in the Northeast, which is Region 3 in All-State, and tied 15th overall for All-State. And you've only fished 3 events. And I think we've had 9 so far. And we do count all the events for the state of Illinois high school tournaments only, but ICAST is just a little bit higher in point value. So just to show that your body of work, I mean, you've done so well. And then we'll get really into the description question. This past weekend, you guys took 5th at a B.A.S.S Open.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I got more things that I want to talk about. I got on my screen, but I'll leave it once I get to that. And then I answered my own question, the football state champions. And I mean, these 2 kids, just phenomenal success so far in their high school career. And it's just going to get better and more exciting. So let's get to the 8 questions. Are you ready?
We are ready. Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay, here we go. So question number 1, and we're going to go with Logan first. So you could kind of like piggyback on this one, because this is kind of like the one question I'm dying to find out. I know some of our listeners are probably dying to find out. Explain last season IHSA State Championship, the feeling after day 1, the weather delay, the final results, who caught the fish, the whole mindset, everything. Just lay it all out. Let us know what it was like for you guys in those 48 hours.
Well, in the beginning for practice, after the whole day, we had like a little feeling of doubt, but we also had to have an open mind and just see like what else we can do, because we only caught like 2 fish in practice.
2 fish, right?
Yeah, 2 fish, and then we ended it off on was it 3?
3:13.
Yeah, we
was
like
our final fish.
Last minutes of light. So we go back to the hotel. We're just shooting ideas back and forth, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, because we know that the lake was so pressured. There's so many people fishing it, a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was real hard to catch them in practice even. And didn't our practice get cut short from weather too?
Yes, we did. No, we had to go in. It was even our practice was weathered. We went into to that Mexican restaurant right at the boat landing. And
yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good food, good food. Rain. And then we get back out, and that's when we figure out the deal. And like right when we caught that fish, we put it back and we left. Yeah. And we put the boat on the trailer. We went back to the hotel, went on Google Earth. Yeah. Whole 9 yards.
Just looking for anything we could possibly do.
But the biggest key to that tournament was wind. and finesse, because we can go behind boats all day that were fishing the exact spot that we won the tournament off of.
Yeah.
And we were able to pick up those bites, and they were pretty quality. Probably we had a couple of 2-pounders in the bag, which really helped our bag. So
yeah, I mean, not to cut you guys off, and if you have more, please add. I mean, if you don't know, Lake Carlisle is a heck of a fishery. It is tough. Tough.
So tough.
It is so tough for young anglers, for experienced anglers. I mean, it's just a tough lake. That's just where I'll leave it like that. It's a tough lake. So yeah, I mean, so what else you got to add for that one after day one, and then you find out that the tournament is possibly over, it is over, and then the final standings come out?
Well, like after day one weigh-in, when we saw so many people zeroing out, we had like a thought, and we're like, holy shit, because we ended up we ended up calling twice, which was just absolutely insane.
That is insane to call twice at Lake Carlisle.
So it was like after everyone was done weighing in, we just had like a wave of like just a little bit of like reassurance, and then we still had to keep an open mind for day two, because
we knew what to do. We weren't really like high about it. We're like, that's good, we're leading the tournament, now let's finish it off. We were in that mindset. We went back to the hotel, got even more ideas. I was probably more confident going into day two than I was on day one. Way much more confident. We knew what we were gonna do, and we had those fish. Calling twice on Lake Carlisle, that's when you know we have those groups of fish. The only thing that scared us is we didn't know that day two was getting canceled. So we were kind of pacing. Pacing each other. It wasn't a sprint; it was a marathon. So, but we were like, shoot, if we would have known, like, well, but even if we did know, like, you never know if day two, if there's gonna be a day two or if there isn't, you know. So that was my worry on day two. Like, I'm like, I wish it's not canceled. And if it is canceled, well, obviously we were like, we wanted to fish, but we were like, it's canceled. I mean, state champs.
Sitting in first already.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's you're sitting in a good spot, right? Being in first place after day one, and your team has no say in the decision that has been made. That was the standings, right? And everybody got to fish whatever they got to fish, whether it's 4 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 2 days. It doesn't matter. Everybody got to fish that time frame. And you guys just made the best of it, right? And kudos to you, because like I said, I can't say enough how difficult Lake Carlisle is. So to hear that you guys called twice, I mean, that is unbelievable, to say the least, especially on top of that, you're a northern team,
right?
Like northern teams just don't do well. I believe, if I didn't do the research on this, I should have, but I believe you're the second northern team to ever win that state title in the history of IHSA bass fishing. I'm almost positive. And this was the first time that the top three were all northern teams, which is very difficult. So I was as a northerner, I was kind of proud for those three schools, regardless of what school they were, because it's such a tough fishery. And I think the lack of movement that we have to go from bodies of water in the entire state of Illinois to kind of give that equity to all the schools is it's just a different topic that we don't really need to get into. This is the Logan and Brett show, so we're going to stick to that. We don't want to talk politics in here. So, but yeah, that's good. That's such a cool story to hear. You don't need to share how you caught them or what you use, because you want to hold that. I mean, I don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to give you the opportunity to tell us. You hold that near and dear, because if you qualify again, that's just kind of like the deal. You just got to use the same thing, right? Because I feel like that's kind of like what works there.
I agree. Yeah. Depending, we have some more dangerous ideas on like Carlisle. I mean, as tough as it is, there is some potential for mega fish it correctly. So you never know. So we're gonna beef up around practice day if we qualify.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing is like if you look at this past history of Carlisle in the first few years, there were some pretty decent bags.
Right.
So like there's some quality fish in there. It's just it's a big body of water, but it fishes very small, which is kind of tough. So that's what makes that hard. So but yeah, there's our IHSA State Champs, such a fun story. It's kind of cool to hear from your perspective, and the cool thing, not once do I feel like you guys were bragging about it. It was kind of like you just kind of had this plan, you stuck to it, and that was it. That was a deal, and it worked, right? So
yeah, it all came together. Yeah.
That's super cool. So IHSA State Champs right here, Kraken Lair podcast. Yeah. All right, this next one. So I didn't tell these kids what this question is. Because I wanted to kind of surprise them, and it's not like a crazy question, but from that story and from this results, I just know how kids are. I know how coaches are. I've been around coaches my entire life, and kids, there's always those individuals will talk and say, I don't think they deserved it. They're not that good. Who are these kids? How they catch them, how they win. Oh, they got lucky. It's always every excuse because they weren't in your shoes. So based off that, and I know you probably heard that, you probably didn't even care about it. You probably didn't even hear about it and just whatever. But now thinking of the question is, let's say you did think about that and did hear that. How does that make you feel now going into some of the other tournaments that have done succeed really well? It kind of like puts the stamp that JCA, Logan and Brett are the real deal.
A few moments later.
It's
speechless.
Like, from the beginning, man. Like, you have to think about that question. It was definitely an adventure of growth throughout the years. I started high school bass fishing my sophomore year after COVID, and it was. I mean, like, there were some struggles early on, kind of figuring out, because I didn't fish tournaments before then, and I kind of figured out bad tournaments sophomore year. And once junior year hit, that's when I started, putting time on the water. You're obviously learning, especially learning how to tournament fish, because it's totally different from fun fishing.
Totally different.
You learn and you mature to figure it out. You just got to mature up and do what people aren't doing, and kind of figure out that little 1% in that body of water you're fishing that you can differentiate yourself from all the other anglers. And that's what really helped us in Florida. Is I did not feel confident to going to a fishery where I'm fishing around other boats, and I know that other boats are doing that thing. That bugs me. And so when you go to a whole different area, it could be like a sneaky little river or stream, or it could be the north end of Griffin, which is where we fished in the Heritage Chain, but there was no high school boats around us. Absolutely. And that's when it clicked, like let's fish here, let's just grind it all day, because there ain't gonna be no high school boat here, and I feel confident.
Yeah, and that's a different mindset too, because on the flip side of that, some kids will look at that as like, oh, no one's fishing here, that means no one's catching fish here. You look at it as, no one's here, let's fish here, this is our area, and let's win and die by the sword right here, because that's just what we're going to do. And that's a cool mindset to have, because it is different, it's unique, it's kind of like the glass half full, glass half empty. It's just how you perceive it and how you mentally make that challenge beneficial for your team. And that's such a cool way to think about it, for especially a young men like you guys. So I mean, that's really neat. All right, the next question, we'll get back, and now you know this. All right, best football moment so far first. So there's two parts to this question, so we'll go Logan first. Best football moment so far, and I think I already know the answer because we kind of already gave it up.
Hold on, let's think about this. So this is a tough one. Go ahead, Logan.
And then while you're answering the best football moment, then also, what is more nerve-wracking, football or fishing, and why?
Well, I mean, best moment is probably state. it's a crazy feeling because I have four brothers and my dad went to JCA and they all play football. And only two of them won state championships titles.
Only
So
two. Oh
yeah.
man. I mean, you guys. That's so cool. Sorry to cut you off, but it's sometimes I look like only two state champions.
So they're always like, you gotta get a state champion, you gotta get it, you gotta get a title, you gotta do this. So it was like I I finally did it almost. Because just being a part of that team was it was so cool just to be there even.
Yeah. And what's harder, football or fishing for you? And
Well,
why?
I would say fishing is more nerve-wracking than football because there's so many more teams that can just pull something that you don't know about because they can just be rolling in when you're weighing in. It can just like a total surprise. In football, there's two teams. You know what the score is at the end because like even at Harris Chain, we weighed in. We were sitting in we weighed in. We had 17 pounds flat, and then another team weighed in after us and had 17 pounds flat. So we were literally in front of them because we weighed in first.
Yeah.
So that was just like,
yeah, just pure luck, right? Pure coincidence and luck. I mean, that's amazing.
You never know what people are going to have in that bag until the scale reads.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, football, you're one-on-one. You know the score, you know the play. You're in every single play. Fishing, I mean, you might see 30% of the field just because you're making a run to another part of the body of the water, but you're not really competing against those teams. I said in the last podcast, or it was 2 podcasts ago, you're not really competing against other teams. You're competing against those 5 fish, and you don't know what the other teams have with their 5 fish, right, compared to your boat. And I think that's the coolest part of fishing is that uniqueness makes it just so different, right?
Total surprise. And like after you weigh in, you get a good spot, you're just like, it's just a wave of like relax. You can just relax.
The standings just did right. Yeah. How about you, Brett?
Okay, so for me, football has always been more nerve-wracking for me, obviously, because you're going in and you're hitting people, you're putting your body on the line. And the preparation, it matters a lot in football, just like it does fishing. For me, fishing, I'll get nervous, but I just love to fish. And at the end of the day, you can fish a tournament no matter how big. I get to go fishing, and it's fun. Like the morning, it's just all exciting rather than a football game. You're locked in, you're quiet, you're not talking, you're not laughing. It's just you're locked in. So I'm focused. But during fishing, I'm cracking jaw. I'm getting ready, man. Yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I'm walking around the boat, make sure everything's aligned, all the baits are rigged right. We're good.
That's cool coming from 2 football guys, right? It's where, I mean, the intensity is just football, intense. It's cool that you have a different intensity and focus for fishing and different nerve-wracking anxieties, and it's not the same. And it's such a cool thing that an individual has 2 different spectrums of how you deal with those sports, and it's such a cool way to think of it, and it's kind of neat. I thought, if I would have guessed, knowing that you're both football guys, I would have guessed that both are super nerve-wracking because you're kind of like perfectionist of knowing, you got to hit your play in the right time. Like if you're calling this play, you got to hit your assignment, right? So it's similar. So it's kind of cool that you don't really think like that. I mean, your thought process is probably similar, but your mentality is not driven to that exact same extent to like how football is. So that's really neat. That's super cool. All right. So now that we know that you guys are football fans, Logan, who you got this weekend?
I got the Eagles.
The Eagles? Yeah. Why do you think?
Well, I've always been like I'm mainly a Bears fan coming from Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Like as a second team, the Eagles are just kind of cool, man. I just liked them. And I'm an O lineman, and then their O line's doing so good. They
Yeah.
block every play, getting quarterback time he needs. They came out with a Christmas album, which was awesome. And then it's funny how the two teams are the two brothers. It's Jason
Yeah.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
Jason Kelsey being the center for the O line. I'm a center too. It's like kind of just like it's like a sense of brotherhood, kind of.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome. I don't even know who I have yet. That's a toss up. But yeah, I think it should be a really fun game. I mean, obviously they're both offensive line are just unbelievable, and there's a reason why they're in the final game, right? Yeah. Brad, who do you have this weekend and why?
Okay, so I keep going back and forth between the Chiefs and the Eagles. I like the Eagles. I love them. But like recently I've said I've cheered for the Eagles, but like come to think of it, like there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is winning Super Bowls and keep making his appearances and is known out there. People can say, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of him winning Super Bowls and making it into the playoffs and so far and all this fame and stuff." Well, you know what? There's probably a reason why he's getting to that point. So why not? He deserves more, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs just because I feel at first I was for the Eagles, but no, I just had a feeling that the Chiefs are gonna still do good. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for the Chiefs. Sorry, Logan, but
you guys can disagree finally on one thing. You know what? If I were to lean on something, I don't know what it is. It's for being a Chicago fan in all my sports. I'm not a big Philadelphia fan when it comes to other sports. Like I'm a Bulls fan, so I don't like the Sixers. I'm a Cubs fan, so I don't like the Phillies. So like I think that's why I don't like the Eagles, because obviously Bears play the Eagles a lot more often than they do the Chiefs, and obviously I'm a Bears fan too. So I think this is like my bias going towards Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I'm with you. I think Patrick Mahomes, he's just unbelievable. Like he's
so much fun to watch.
Oh, I mean, it's just the things he does. I'm just like, how is this possible? And you just have to appreciate the unbelievable athleticism that guy has. I mean, it's
unbelievable.
Yeah,
his work ethic, especially in my opinion. Yeah,
and his commercials are unbelievable. I mean, come on, those are funny, right?
New All-State guy.
Oh, okay. You like the All-State. Welcome back to the second half of this podcast. It's great to have a first half, second half with two football dudes. So this is perfect fitting. All right, question number 5. What is your favorite way to fish? And please elaborate on the lure, the soft plastic, the company, the color, whatever it is that makes it fun, the technique. So Logan, we'll start off with you. What is your favorite way to fish?
Well, for me, it's always been top water. Because it's just like the rush of adrenaline when you get that blow up. In the summers, I got a pond across the street from my house that slays top water. Literally any top water, you can throw a frog, you can throw a popping perch, you can throw a walking bait, you can throw a popper, you can throw a whopper plopper, you can throw anything in there, and the hula popper, the old hula popper in there, and just annihilate
it. Yeah, top water is a blast. I mean, like you said it perfectly. The adrenaline rush of just seeing the blow up on your bait, and even when they miss like a spook and they just pop your bait, you're just and you just
I almost get like scared when it happens. Almost.
Yeah, I agree, because it's like one of those like you feel like it's gonna happen, and then when it happens, it does. It kind of like freaks you out a little bit. It's such a cool thing. So pick one bait that's top water that if you had to go, this is the only top water you could ever throw for the rest of your life. Which one are you picking?
Put me in a hard situation here. I don't know. I'd say maybe I'll walk and bait because I really like just constant action. Making
Yeah.
it you decide how you want it to move.
Yeah,
And just,
yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Good answers. I like it. All right, Brett. What about you? Your favorite way to fish? Color, soft plastic company, whatever.
For me, I love, and this is really different from an Illinois fisherman. I don't get the like, especially in the summer, is deep. I love fishing deep. I love it like cranking deep and football jigs and finding one your graph, brush piles, ledges especially. I mean, I love to do that because I don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. I remember event this past summer at Clinton. Not a lot of people know about. There's a couple of ledges on there that there's always a
There,
pile of fish post
for
spawn
sure.
on the ledge right there,
Yeah.
and you can really get into 4-pounders. I mean, you can
Yeah.
get a bag of 4-pounders, man. That's fun on ledges, but
Oh yeah.
probably for cranking, I would say I love the DT series, and I'll change out those hooks with different hooks. I don't
Yeah.
I don't like I lose too
stock,
many
yeah.
fish with the stock hooks, so I'll change those hooks out. And I love the dirty jigs, football jigs. Don't get a lot of opportunities to fish those football jigs in Illinois as much when I do. Man, I love those
Yeah.
football jigs and cranking probably out deep.
Yeah, I think like you said, Clinton it does have some ledges, and I think
Yeah,
people know about them. They just don't know how to fish them. And those that know how
yeah.
to fish that, those are the ones that they catch some big fish out of that
And
lake.
if you get a bite, it's a good one. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I don't get a bite under 2 pounds, and the average is probably 3.5 on those ledges. So
yeah. I mean, that's so cool. And it's so funny that you say uh deep water because you're right, in Illinois we don't really have those type of
right,
styles of fishing, right? I mean, we're more dirty, shallow water, um, yeah, some mid-range, type of thing, but yeah, not so much deep. Yeah, so that's a cool thing. It's a different technique, and it's kind of cool because if you need to do that in a Illinois fishery, that's kind of like your thing.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
There's a
such a
couple ways, but not
Yeah.
most of the high school events are in the spring.
yeah.
So like dirt shell, flipping some wood most of the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super excited for you guys this spring. I think people are going to have their eyes checked. And I hope I don't jinx you. I don't think I am. I think people are gonna be like, man, where did these guys come from? And I'm gonna start telling people they just didn't sign up last year. That's essentially what it was. They just didn't fish the series last year, and now they are, and they're you guys are slaying it, which is awesome. So I'm super excited for you guys. All right, this next question. This is the exciting one because this one just happened last week, right?
right.
You
Oh, yeah.
guys, you fished the Bassmaster High School Series at the Harris Chain in Florida. There was 184 boats. 84 of them had a limit of 5. I did the nerdy math. 143 caught fish. That's a big field, and you guys took 5th. I know you guys kind of talked about it a little bit in some of the other questions, but I mean, how was that? I mean, you guys are Illinois kids. This is Florida. You fishing against a bunch of Florida kids and Southern kids that just know those types of bodies of water. There were some big name kids that fish that body of water too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
Please,
mean,
please.
the field was huge. I knew that a lot of those boats were going to obviously the well-known place. When you have a bad practice, go to a well-known place, and you'll catch them if you put your time into it. But we knew day 2 of practice, day 1 we fished Dora next to Boat Claire, trying to find some offshore shell beds and grass mixed in. We caught some. We would catch one, leave it, catch one, leave the spot. So we had a bunch of spots on Dora, but I'm like, we're not going to win the tournament there. Everyone's going there. So then we were like, let's go to Griffin. No one goes to Griffin. We got to the boat landing, and there's like what 2 high school boats with us?
Not even.
Not even. So we grabbed around the
the only boats were pros.
yeah. So there's Major League Fishing Toyota series going
Oh
on.
yeah, that's right. Same weekend, right?
Yeah. So we met some anglers and talked to them and stuff after the event and keep in touch with them. But we went to the north end of Griffin. We found we idled, found grass for first cast in one grass patch on the north end, offshore in about 8 foot of water. It was isolated in the middle of the channel by that river. I forgot the name of it, but caught a 5-pounder right away. So we were like, all right, we're done. Let's go and find more. So we ended up finding a lot of more grass. Yeah. And it was cold. It was cooler during practice because during the tournament day, it got really, really hot. So we know those fish were going to be pulled out. And we thought during the tournament day, those fish were going to go shallow and have another wave to spawn.
Yeah.
And we were going to adapt. So it's like during practice, the main goal, a lot of people don't know this, is you want to aim where they're going to go. You don't want to go back to the same spot during tournament. You want to know where they're going to be the next day because they're going to move. So we ended up going shallower than the next day of practice. Yeah. We found in practice, we found some area where there's some shell, and there's some grass and bait. We found bait, and we were catching on chatterbaits and lipless crankbaits during practice. Yeah. Bright sun. It was not a lot of winds, really hot. So we pulled out the 8 1/4 inch worm from Berkeley Power Bait, the Max scent.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's called. It was purple, but I don't know the color, but and we just went to work. We covered water, fish edges, and as the day went on, we started catching shallower. And the shallowest we probably caught them in was about 4 foot of water offshore. Okay. They're moving up as the day went on, but to start off the day, we caught an 8-pounder to start off the day.
Yeah. It that set a mood.
Of course.
Like, 8-pounder.
I was like, oh, okay, we're staying here.
Yeah, and who caught that 8-pounder?
Right.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, it's Florida fishing, right? So like,
we were like, welcome to Florida, man.
Yeah. Now we know why anglers just move there and be like, I'm gonna live here, Tennessee.
Yeah, it just felt so cool because that was my first time down in Florida in the Harris chain, and that was Brett's second time. And like just catching an 8-pounder and a 5-pounder the day before was like, because there's like none of those up here in Illinois. So it's
catch that. That's a dinosaur here.
That's an old prehistoric creature in Illinois.
It's before the Jurassic Park movie. Sorry if I used the word Jurassic Park, but that's what it is in Illinois.
But those fish, they're biting it. I love the way they bite it because you make long casts into the grass flats in middle of the river by Lake Griffin. And you would kind of drag it out of the grass. And once you get to the top, you're going to get most of your bites. When you reach the peak of your drag on top of the grass, they'll bite it. But when they don't bite it, you let it sink down right into the grass. And they'll come down it. And when you pop it off and you lift it up again, they'll bite it. And so it's more of a reaction strike. But they weren't biting any reaction bait, no chatterbaits, jerk baits.
Yeah.
It was crankbaits, not even a Carolina. It was really weird.
Yeah, I like how you're explaining how you are using your bait, because I think that's the cool thing that kids are gonna want to like hear, because it's just like a cool story, right? Like you could just say, yeah, we caught an 8-pounder on this. And you're like, okay, yeah, but like how I really like how you're explaining it, because it's such a unique way that you're like so descriptive, and like, I mean, you could tell what you're feeling, right, when you're using the rod. So
sometimes you feel the shell, and then the bottom composition was really important. You feel the shell. He caught his keeper on shell with some sparse grass mixed in. The key was hydrilla. They loved eelgrass mixed with hydrilla with a little shell. Yeah. And the type of grass was really important. They didn't like the coontail. But so just dragging it out of the grass, and then you feel the shell. You just 45 degree, just drag it. Feel it with your rod tip and count the shell. And you'll go back to you'll know in the hydrilla, it'll just go right through the hydrilla. And that was the key, is a lighter weight. So it kind of, hovers above the grass, and you just lift it up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Logan, obviously Brett, you didn't flip that bass into the boat, right?
I would have punched it if he did.
I don't think we would have put that thing in the ball.
So netting that fish, Logan, I mean, you see it pop up, right? You
Yeah,
probably
it
like your
jumped
heart is
and
just like,
I had
don't mess us up, don't mess us up.
Yeah, it jumped and it shook a little bit, but it didn't. I had a heart attack.
We're not used to seeing that fish jump. I thought it was
Like,
a catfish. I set the hook
yeah.
on that thing, and it took off.
Yeah, the rod was like a seat. It was in half, and then I thought it was like a cat. I thought it was a cat, and then
Yeah.
and then
like
it jumps, and I just see its giant head.
Kind of like what you see in the commercials and TV shows with the mouth is
Yeah.
just like, oh.
Yeah,
Believe it or not, I think that girl was post spawn. She was fat. I think she was a fat post spawn fish, so
Yeah.
she was lighter for her size.
Can you imagine like if you would have caught it at a
On a
pre-spawn?
bed. Yeah.
Ooh.
Pre-spawn or on a bed, that thing could have been easily 10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
easily.
Now, is that your biggest bass, Brett?
Yeah.
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 That's your PB.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's super cool. I mean, such a fun experience. And the cool thing, you guys qualified for the high school national championship,
Right.
Yeah.
which is another helpful thing for our Illinois IHSA kids. You guys already qualified for the Clash. So essentially your boat is like a ghost boat. You don't really count because you've already qualified. So you kind of get to go to the Clash with like no stress. You get to go have fun and hopefully double qualify. And the best thing about double qualifying, if you do, the next boater behind you gets a freebie. They get to qualify because you qualified at the Harris Chain, which is super awesome. And so that's good news for everybody. It's great news for you guys, obviously, because now that stress is out of the way. And I don't think they've named the body of water for the national championship,
they
right?
haven't yet. They're probably gonna name it around the Lake tournament for the Bass Open, which we're gonna go down for Alabama.
Okay, all right. You might as well just keep testing some more waters, right?
Right? Yeah. Experience is what matters in high school, man.
Yeah, for sure. On the next question. So you two have won an IHSA state title for football and fishing. You've qualified for the Clash. You've taken fifth at the Harris Chain. You qualified for the B.A.S.S Nationals high school tournament. Now, what would it mean for you guys if you win the Clash title in your state, knowing that our series is a little different in the IHSA? I think competitively wise, and again, that's me being biased. I really do think our series has way more competition, and it's more difficult. It's more difficult to win. So how would that feel? Yeah. How would that feel for you guys to win the Clash this year?
You got Logan first.
Yeah, you got Logan it up.
It would just be like, it just wouldn't feel real. It would just feel like otherworldly. Like that's how IHSA State was like. At first, like I was like, did we actually just do this? Like,
yeah.
Like I wasn't even believing it at the first.
Let's be real. The only tournament you fish before state for IHSA is just a sectionals.
Yeah. There's like no in between.
ICAST for me is so much fun because you got all these lakes you can fish and all these dates and it's like a trail. It's like a trail. I mean, Illinois Bass Nation's cool, but no, ICAST is where it's at, man. Because you win.
Thanks, man.
Clash with all those anglers that fish and have all these experience on these Illinois fisheries. It would definitely mean a lot more than IHSA. Definitely, I feel like the Clash is much more bigger deal. I love ICAST, man. No problems with ICAST. It's just good people, man. And you just have fun,
yeah. You know what? Just by you saying those things, I am the tournament director. I run all the tournaments.
Amazing tournament.
I had a big say on like how things went or was developed with the help of other coaches. But it is kind of like my baby. So to hear kids tell me these things, it means that we're doing the right things, and I'm super excited for you guys because, like you said, I do think, and like you just said it, I think it's harder than the IHSA, and it is. We have a trail. It's like an entire series. Like you can qualify easily by getting in the top two, which you did, and you did twice. But if you don't finish in those top two, you kind of have to have a good season to qualify, kind of like standings wise. So like you have to earn your place in. And yeah, so I too think, like, don't get me wrong, your IHSA title, that's super awesome. It's definitely, it should be one of those top things in your career because it is still very difficult. But I think this would be really cool for you guys to put in your resume. I mean, I think this would be really awesome.
I agree.
Too.
I 100% agree. That would be a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. It helps our next generation with the anglers and fishing and what they want to do for a living. It kind of shows them, man, you can get into the fishing industry. You can have the shot to go pro if you really put your heart and mind into it. It's just a huge deal for people to fall in love with the sport and create a passion for it.
Thank you, man. Dude, you're gonna like make me cry on this podcast for the first time. It's just, it's just out of joy. I mean, I'm just super happy that this is why I do it. This is why I do it, because what you just said, that's why I do it. I look at it as like, if Logan and Brett were my kids, how would I want them to succeed in this tournament? How would I want them to have this experience? So like, dude, it makes me super excited, and I might not be showing it right now, but like, I literally feel chills just hearing what you guys are saying. That means what we are doing is the right thing, and it's just going to get better. And yeah, we'll have some bumps in the road, but like, we'll learn and we'll get better. And hopefully, my goal is in 10 to 12 years is to know 5 to 10 future pro anglers that fished our series out of this state, because I think our state is one of those states that are just so undervalued. So maybe it's one of you two.
That's my goal, man. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
This guy would be good.
All right, so that kind of goes into the next question, which is the last question. I'm kind of sad that this is ending. I have a feeling this might be the longest podcast out of all the podcasts, because I like I said in the beginning, I didn't know anything about you guys, and I feel like I'm learning so much about you. First of all, both of you guys I really like how in depth you go with these things, with these, like, your mindset, like, so you're really intelligent when it comes to the background of fishing, which people don't realize. Like, you need to have some, you need to have it. You need it. You can't just go out there and be like, I'm gonna go fish right here. I mean, yeah, you might have a good day, right? But it's not gonna last.
And so, I should say state tournament, that was a lot of detail. I mean, I could probably talk to you for a whole nother hour on finding those fish and getting them to react to our baits. It was almost rocket science how we really went into that tournament. And we've been on other podcasts and stuff, and we've explained how we did. But no, we never went into full detail on how. And
okay, you know what? I'm gonna write some dates down, because this is gonna be an episode side 2A with Logan and Brett. It's just breaking down Lake Carlisle, and you know what? I'm gonna get 1 billion subscribers just because of that episode. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get you guys on that one for that one. All right, so going into the last question, we'll go with Logan. Do you see yourself playing football, or do you see yourself fishing in college, or both, or neither, or what is it? Is it just something that you want to do in high school and that's it?
Well, I've always loved fishing, and I've always loved football my entire life, because I've always been around them as long as I can remember. Out of the two, I would think I'd be fishing in college, because football is just a whole, like,
it's a job. Not that fishing's not a job. I don't want to put fishing, but football is like, it's a grind.
It's a whole other commitment that you have to sacrifice a lot for. Because I know that now. I've sacrificed a bunch for football at JCA. I've sacrificed for fishing at JCA, but I would say that fishing comes on top.
That's awesome. So do you have a school? Do you think that, I mean, you still have one more year. So you got to learn as much as you can from Brett, because if this Brett's last season, I mean, you got to soak in as much as you can, because once he's gone, he's going into college. Like, then you got to go to another partner, and then you need to become the guy. You need to become Logan, the leader, right, on the boat, because that's just what makes JCA's bass fishing team better every year, because you make the next kid as good or better than you are, and that's how good programs last for a long time. So if you go to college, what college would you want to go fish for?
I would say probably either Bethel or McKendree.
Okay.
Because they have
two really phenomenal schools.
Oh yeah,
really, really good programs. They have a lot of success, a lot of really good fishermen come out of them schools.
Yeah.
Brett's been looking at Bethel, so it would be even crazier if we fish together in college.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
And John's a good guy for McKendree, and Coach Mason, Gary Mason from Bethel. They're all both good guys, man.
Yeah.
They're really nice to talk to. Yeah.
Even just going back into the question before that, I feel good for next year because the partner I'm going to be fishing with is Kandrisik. I've known him since I can remember. He went to my middle school. We've always been fishing ponds in Joliet as long as we can remember. We both just love fishing so much.
Yeah, it's good to have that chemistry already, right? Because it's not not something you have to force to have, which that's good. That's good for you for next year. But you got one more year for the Logan and Brett show. All right, so Brett, do you see yourself playing football, and I feel like I already know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer. And what college do you think you want to go to?
All right, so my answer is bass fishing for sure. And what college I would really want to go to is right now I'm talking. My favorite right now is I actually just recently started talking to the Montevallo coach, Coach Crawford. Really nice guy. I'm actually going on visits this upcoming weekend, this next weekend, to Bethel and to Montevallo. But Bethel has been an option. I talked to the coach. I'm building a relationship with him. Talked to him at the we both talked to him at the weigh-in
at Harris Chain.
Really nice guy. Really nice guy. But probably for me, I'm really serious about Montevallo. That's a really good school. It fits your needs. You're around Lake, and I think part of choosing your school is also what you're going to do outside after college.
And what is it that you want to do?
The connections. I feel like you're around so many lakes. You're around like Gunnersville and Montevallo, Neely Henry, Lake Mitchell, Jordan, all those good big bass fisheries.
Yeah.
A lot of bass events fish. And I feel like having those connections, being around will like skyrocket you into the next phase of your life as a professional bass fisherman, which is really what I want to do, man. It's been my dream. I'm working so hard.
That's
I'm trying
good, man.
to go on the water. It's definitely my lifelong dream. So
that's awesome. And you know what? Now I think it's not getting easier, but the avenues are opening up more because now there's two big series, right? We have MLF, we got the Bass Elites, and then there's different ways to get into. I mean, that is super cool to hear, and I'm excited for you because again, any Illinois kid that does well, I'm just super excited for. I'm such a diehard Illinois person. I don't know what it is. Everybody always says I gotta move out of Illinois. Illinois sucks. I love this place. I don't know why. I'm never gonna move out of here unless even if I win the lottery, I'll probably still not move out of here. I don't know what it is.
It's those little states like Illinois, even Indiana. Jacob Wheeler, he grew up in Indiana, which is a state you never would have think. So it's like, and you got to think about this. Illinois, you got a lot of tough fisheries. That's going to produce a lot of good fishermen.
Yeah.
A lot of diehards. So
yeah, I feel like I've said that a couple times throughout the podcast is the Illinois fisheries really, I mean, it just mentally set kids up for success because we deal with so much failure and so much grinding with our bodies of waters that I think kids are more adept to being okay with the outcome if the outcome didn't do well, but at least they learned how and what they need to do better.
And that's the biggest part to bass fishing is failure and also learning experiences.
Yeah.
Now I know what to do in this situation now. And it's those little details of bass fishing you got to pay. It's the littlest, slightest details that most people will just go right over their head that you got to pay attention to. So
Yeah. All right. Man. I'm super happy that you guys joined me on this podcast. I'm thankful for having you two. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your guys's your input, your answers. I think you guys are such a cool duo, and I think like I said it before, I think you guys are the real deal, and I think people are going to start seeing it, and you guys are proving it with your finishing. So I really do think you guys got to watch out for Logan and Brett from JCA. They're the real deal, and they're proving it just in the short amount of time that they did ICAST. So thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Thank
us
you for
on.
having us. This is awesome.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is so cool.
Openly talking about, you know, the background of us,
Yeah.
because we were this is the first year we actually like made our name known. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool, kind of putting stuff out there, and
Yeah.
you know, I think that meant a lot to us.
Yeah. And you know what?